honored to invite Captain Praveen Chaturvedi ji, founder Prachyam TV. Captain Praveen Chaturvedi ji is a filmmaker and former Marine officer rooted in Bhartiya culture and knowledge traditions. With experience across global cinema and Indic storytelling, he brings depth and clarity to conversations, guiding meaningful dialogue on culture, education, and civilizational thought. May I request Captain Praveen Chaturvedi ji to take the stage?
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. It is such a pleasure for me to be here today. It's a pleasure because the founding objective of Prachyam, which is the first Bharatiya, Sanatani, Hindu OTT platform in the world, is spiritual in itself. Prachyam is a spiritual revolution that my gurus inspired me to bring through the medium of films. And I feel so delighted that the gap for which we started Prachyam, the gap that I found in the education system of Bharat when I was in US, it was that there was no spiritual education being imparted to the children. And I thought that being in a Guru-Shishya Parampara, being a Shishya to my great gurus, I thought if I can fill up this gap by bringing the spiritual education to the children, to the youth of this country, I think that would be the greatest thing that I can do in my life. And that's why we started Prachyam OTT. And today, I feel so blissful to see that Millennium School, Shantanu-ji, Adi Vidya Foundation have taken a resolve to bring spiritual education, spiritual pursuits in the educational curriculum of his schools. I think all the schools in this country should follow suit. I think the education ministers, the education ministry of this country should wake up to this reality that Bharat is a spiritual land. We are so blessed to have taken birth in a country like Bharat. You look at any scripture, you look at Vedas, you look at Upanishads, you look at Vedang, you look at Darshan, you look at any Shastra, they all are spiritual texts meant for us to read them, to understand them, and to follow this path of self-inquiry and subsequently self-realization. So this is what I always feel, that it is our right to reclaim this spiritual path. Now, I will only tell you two anecdotes. Why I started Prachyam, I'll tell you. In my younger days, I wanted to know about Bharat. I wanted to know about Ved, about Upanishads, about who am I, why I have come here, what is the purpose of my life. But I had no answers. I studied in a convent school. And those days, there were no internet that you could just go and Google, about what are Upanishads or what are Vedas or what are Darshan. And I thought, then I got some books and I thought I'll try to figure it out, but I could not. So I thought, I had heard, that you cannot get gyan without a guru. So when I was 14 years, I thought, I should search for a guru. And I used to go and meet every spiritual person about whom I used to come to know that he has come somewhere, hoping that, I will get my guru, I'll find my guru. It took me 4 years of this quest. And finally, I found my guru in Kashi, Swami Sivananda. And, my life transformed after that. The agony that I went through in those years, I cannot describe that. And I think a resolve was born in my mind that in my life, I will do my utmost, that no youth in this country, no child in this country should go through this agony in order to find truth about their own culture, about their own civilization, about their own scriptures, about their own Rishi Parampara. And when I was going to study in US, my guru said, जा तो रहे हैं लेकिन वापस आना होगा. And those words, it stayed with me. And after studying there and then working in Hollywood for many years, I think there was a great calling to come back, and bring about, start this spiritual revolution, the spiritual renaissance through films. And this is what we are doing. And today, I request Shantanu-ji that when you are forming, this new curriculum of spirituality for your schools, do make Prachyam films a part of that curriculum. Prachyam has made 450 films, series, shows, content on what is Bharat, what is our Sanskriti, what are our Rishi Parampara, our education systems, our traditions. I'm sure, that watching those films, the children will get deeply inspired, deeply enlightened to know about their own roots. And second thing I will tell you, when I was studying in UCLA, I was in cinema school and I saw one day, on the notice board that the management school was conducting, the professor was conducting a class on Gita for management, Bhagavad Gita for management. I got very, very curious. I thought what he might be teaching, Now, in those days, you could go and sit in any class in the university, but you had to, just patao, the TA. So the TA was known to me, and I said, if I can just sit in this class, and he said, okay, you can, but the professor doesn't recognize, the TA is there, the teaching assistants there. So I went and sat there, and I saw the professor, the American professor, teaching the management students the shlokas from Gita, from Bhagavad Gita. I felt so proud, And I felt, you see, the world has recognized the deep scriptural wealth that we have, but unfortunately our country hasn't, And I think with today's seminar, this is the beginning, and we will see, a new chapter now coming to life of spiritual education in schools. Bharat has the greatest tradition, if you ask me, in Bharat. The greatest tradition of Bharat was Guru-Shishya Parampara. It was through this parampara that the greatest of the knowledge has survived through millennia.